One day, you realize you haven't called anyone in weeks. Not because something happened, no fight, no falling out, you just stopped reaching out. And the strange part? Nobody noticed. Or maybe they did, but nobody said anything either. And somewhere deep down, a quiet thought surfaces. Maybe it's better this way. This is how it begins for a certain kind of person. Not with a dramatic exit, not with anger or conflict. Just a slow, quiet fade. A gradual pulling back from everyone they know. And if this sounds familiar, here's what's actually happening inside you. Most people assume someone who withdraws is depressed, or antisocial, or just busy. But that's rarely the full picture. The people who slowly disappear from everyone's lives are often some of the most emotionally intelligent, deeply feeling people you'll ever meet. They don't withdraw because they don't care. They withdraw because they care too much. And at some point, caring became exhausting. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional overload, when the effort of maintaining relationships starts to feel heavier than the comfort those relationships provide. Think about it for a second. Every conversation requires emotional energy. Every relationship has expectations attached to it. And for some people, those invisible expectations quietly pile up until being around others starts to feel like performing, like work, like pretending. So they step back, just a little at first, then a little more. Here's the psychology behind it. Your brain has one primary job: protect you from pain. When social connection starts to feel unpredictable, when people have disappointed you, misunderstood you, or made you feel unseen, your brain quietly files away a warning. Connection equals possible hurt. It doesn't make a loud announcement, it just slowly redirects your behavior. You reply to messages a little later. You cancel plans more often. You tell yourself you'll reach out tomorrow, and tomorrow never quite comes. This is your brain's threat detection system doing exactly what it was designed to do. It learned, somewhere along the way, that closeness carries risk, so it creates distance, not as punishment, but as protection. There's a simple way to understand this. Imagine your emotional energy as a battery. Social interaction charges some people up, but for others, especially those who've been hurt, overlooked, or drained by relationships, it depletes them. And when the battery gets low enough, isolation starts to feel like rest. The withdrawal isn't selfishness, it's survival. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The longer you disappear, the harder it becomes to return. Every week that passes without contact quietly rewrites your social identity. You start to see yourself as someone who is hard to reach, someone who doesn't need people. And slowly, that becomes the story you believe about yourself. Your confidence in social situations quietly erodes. Simple things, texting first, showing up, being seen, start to feel oddly frightening. Not because you've changed, but because the distance has created a gap, and crossing that gap now feels like too much. And the painful irony? The loneliness grows. But so does the resistance to fixing it. You want connection, you miss people, but reaching out feels awkward now, like too much time has passed, like you'd have to explain yourself. So instead, you stay quiet, and the cycle continues. Now here's something most people miss entirely. This pattern, this slow disappearing, isn't always a sign that something is broken in you. For many people, it's an adaptive response to a world that asks too much of them too early. People who grew up in environments where their emotional needs weren't consistently met often develop a deep self-sufficiency. They learn to need less from others because needing led to disappointment. That's not weakness. That was once a very intelligent way to survive. The problem isn't who you are. The problem is that a strategy built for survival has quietly become a wall, one that keeps out the pain, yes, but also keeps out the warmth. So what does all of this mean? It means that if you are someone who slowly fades, who cancels plans, who goes quiet, who stops reaching out, you are not cold. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are someone whose nervous system learned to associate closeness with cost. And that can change. Not through forcing yourself to be someone you're not, but through small, safe experiments in trust. One honest conversation. One plan you actually keep. One moment where you let someone see you without performing, without exhausting yourself. Remember that opening thought. Maybe it's better this way. It isn't. You know that. That thought isn't wisdom. It's protection wearing the mask of wisdom. The version of you that disappeared, they're still there, just waiting for a reason to feel safe enough to return. If this felt familiar, if you recognized yourself somewhere in these words, you're not alone in this. More people than you'd expect are living this exact quiet experience, wanting connection but retreating from it, missing people but not reaching out, feeling both lonely and relieved by the solitude at the same time. That contradiction doesn't make you strange. It makes you human. The one question worth sitting with tonight: who have you slowly disappeared from, and what would it mean to let them see you again?